Hello everyone, and so today we're taking an in-depth look at the Xbox One, Microsoft's latest generation in the home console wars. Now, the Xbox One is certainly a big piece of equipment. It's considerably heavy as well. Certainly when we place it against something like the PlayStation 4 or the previous generation of games consoles, what we see here is that Microsoft have gone big for their particular entry. Now, the Kinect system comes with the Xbox One as well, and we'll be discussing that in more detail later. But overall, it's quite a fully featured package that you get with the Xbox One, as it were, and it comes with a high price tag as well. Now, what Microsoft have really gone for here is kind of like your modern Blu-ray player, but bigger, I suppose, is one way of looking at it. They've certainly taken a lot of the criticism from the original Xbox 360 due to its problems with heat dissipation, and the Xbox One features a ridiculously large fan, but a very quiet one from what we can tell. Now, the console itself feels like a big black slab. It's not particularly well designed, as it were. It really is just a case of, well, here's your games console, it's in a box. It doesn't really feel to me like Microsoft put a lot of time and effort into designing something to represent themselves in your living room. It's a case of, well, your mum's not going to complain too much, granny's not going to complain too much. It just sits there looking like any other piece of hi-fi equipment. On the back of the Xbox, we have the power, HDMI out, an optical, a HDMI in for connecting your TV to the Xbox, 2 USB ports, the Kinect sensor input, which is not a USB port anymore. I have no idea what that's for, and that's your Ethernet port. And Microsoft also decided they were going to fit a Kensington K-lock as well. The controller has been completely redesigned, but it's not so much as the shape being redesigned, but the individual buttons and sticks have been refined. Everything kind of feels better on this controller. It's more comfortable to hold. The buttons don't feel they have as much kind of play in them. Certainly with the joysticks, thumbsticks, you won't find you having to wrench them as far in order to achieve full movement. And also the bumpers and triggers feel much better in the hand. There's been a few changes to the back button and the menu button. They're now represented slightly differently. The Kinect sensor itself has been shrunk slightly. It's no longer motorized, so it no longer bobs up and down looking for you. And it's able to detect a much wider range of motion and the fingers of your hand as well. Now, what this does lead to is hopefully better quality Kinect in future. The headset has likewise been completely redesigned, and this time is much more comfortable when placed on your head. It no longer pinches, and a new volume control as well, which includes a very big mute button, thank goodness. One of the coolest features of the new Xbox is being able to say, Xbox, watch TV. And then we can watch a bit of Babylon 5. Thanks to the HDMI input on the back of the Xbox One, we can effectively hook up any HDMI device, and simply by saying Xbox Watch TV, it will switch over to that source and keeps the console running in the background. So that means that you can quite happily be playing a game and switch over to the television, or if you wanted to, you could snap the TV directly onto one corner of your Xbox display and carry on gaming at the same time. It's a revolutionary feature and it works incredibly well. I cannot stress this enough. If you're the kind of person where you do have all of your home entertainment in one television set, as it were, then this is a killer feature. As you can see, I can also power up a game of Forza, carry on browsing around the Xbox dashboard, interacting if I want to with various elements, and my game is still loading in the background. This kind of changes the nature of, I'm just going to pop a game on, because you no longer have to necessarily wait for a full boot up. What you can do instead, start the game, carry on doing something else while it's loading. So let's dive into the settings of the Xbox One. So obviously we have a lot of settings. It's just like a smartphone in that regard. So we can change all of our network settings, for instance. We can set up our Wi-Fi or our Ethernet, and we can also test the connection here as well. We can also tweak our Kinect, which also includes taking a look at the various things the Kinect can see in various modes. And there's me there as well. And it gives a good impression as to whether your Kinect is able to see you clearly and all of the information around you as well. Within preferences, we can basically set up things like our Skype notifications, how notifications are going to be seen generally for parties, and also set up our preferred DVR provider, which is not available in the UK. And you've also got the ability to allow streaming. That's if you want to use DLNA push to push content from your PC or smartphone directly to the Xbox. There's no DLNA streaming here in the sense of it being a browsing device. It is purely a receiver at this point. You've also got the TV and One Guide settings, which is not available in the UK just yet, should be launching next year, as well as the ability to set up Dolby Digital audio on your Blu-ray drive. 24 Hz is available there if your device supports it, and you can also set up DTS as well. The system itself, this includes the name of your Xbox, how it's going to be identified on your local network, your languages and your time zones. And you can also restore your factory settings there if you really need to. Now this is one of the most important areas, is display and sound. One thing I would definitely recommend is that you go in and you tweak the color depth to what your TV will support. If you have it on 24-bit pixels, you will find the color quality looks rather rubbish. And again, also set up the RGB color space as well. You can also tweak the audio output for up to 7.1 or DTS. All of that is available in display and sound, and if you need to, you can calibrate your HD TV as well. Closed captioning was a bit of a surprise. It allows you really to change how the closed captions will be seen on screen. You no longer have to have just the boring black and white. You can set it up to exactly how you want those closed captions to be seen. And that includes the colour, the amount of transparency that we added, and the actual colour of the background that the text will be sat on. All of this very useful for accessibility. In Power and Startup, we have the ability to set our energy saving mode and how long the Xbox will stay on for within activity. It would have been nice to see a few more granular controls there rather than 1 hour or 6 hours. Maybe 2 hours would have been nice. And you can also turn on resume games quickly if you really want to, although that is a beta feature at this point. You can also from here go in and add your families and also set up the me, as it were, your digital representation on Xbox, and you can also change your gamer tag and everything like that. And this area really kind of just rounds up the information about you, your friends, your current grade, etc., your reputation within the Xbox Live system, and you can also change how you look, including facial expressions, your hats, clothing and everything else that goes along with it as well. It's all very familiar if you've used the Xbox 360, but it is nice to see Microsoft carrying this metaphor forward, and it is quite nice to have a digital representation of yourself that you can make kind of look a bit like you. There's not a huge number of body types, as it were, just 5 different sizes, and all fairly conservative, you might say. And the same with the various things like clothing, hairstyles and so on. It's all played very safe here, very kid-friendly as it were. There's nothing overly controversial at all. Well, alright, maybe Skullman, but anyway. One thing we really liked about this is that Microsoft haven't abandoned all of the good work that actually went into this with the Xbox 360. It would have been very easy for them to simply say, actually, we're going to ditch this idea now. And in some respects, it has been pushed into the background more than it was on the 360. It's no longer seen really in Microsoft eyes as quite so essential, if you ask me. Now, your apps and games and activity areas, as it were, are all part of this kind of metro-style tile layout. And you can go in and you can pin the most used stuff, if you want to, onto your home dashboard, or you can quite happily just browse through as you need to. With the activity system, it allows you to go and look at any of your friends' activity on Xbox Live. You can pull up video footage they've recorded using the DVR feature. You can compare games with them and your achievements, and just generally keep in touch. And it all feels quite nicely done, although it would have been better, I think, if you could have had a few more friends on screen at one time. Allowing you to compare multiple achievements with multiple friends at the same time would have been really cool. The game DVR functionality built into the Xbox One is not quite as good in my opinion as the PlayStation 4. It allows you to capture, when on demand, up to 5 minutes of footage, or at any time during a game you can say, Xbox, record that, and it will capture the last, well, they say 15 seconds of footage, but I've found in practice it's anywhere between 15 seconds and 30 seconds of footage, and there does seem to be some lag, as it were, in the sense that if you try and use the functionality too close together, so say you use it twice within, say, 30 seconds, you can end up with a clip of only 1 or 2 seconds of length where the buffer seems to have underrun on itself. It's a bit of a shame. Overall, though, the functionality does work very well, and the video footage quality is actually quite good. You can tell that it's been compressed quite a bit from the original full frames, as it were, and there's quite a lot of compression and macro blocking going on. But by and large, it works pretty well. Here's some footage from the Battlefield 4. This is all happening within the game DVR system, so this is not me playing the game live, this is playback. And you can see it works pretty well. The image quality has been reduced slightly, but you can still see everything that's going on. Now, in my opinion, the image quality here, played off the console, is certainly better than the PS4 ends up delivering via Twitch. But it doesn't really get away from the fact that Microsoft kind of launched with only, well, a lackluster feature here, really. You can edit a clip, and including adding a voiceover via your Kinect, or recording an additional piece of video footage on your Kinect, and you can stitch that together into up to 5 clips along with your game footage. The problem is, though, that the system is actually quite limited and very slow. As you can see, it's spending a lot of time pulling up the clips, even though I've just actually been into this menu and pulled up those clips. It's not caching the thumbnails. That is just bizarre in a modern day and age, and it means that this is a feature that you'll probably not use very often. It's simply not quick and it's not fluid enough. You're also limited in the sense that you have to add 5 clips. You can't add 3 clips, you can't add 4 clips, you can't add 2 clips, you have to add 5 clips. Well, if you haven't got 5 clips you want to add, bit of a fail, really. And the whole way through I kept thinking to myself, this just feels like the bare minimum to say, oh look, we've got game recording features. But it's not a very good feature that they've added. It really is lackluster, to say the least. Twitch support is supposed to be coming next year, 2014. Hopefully Microsoft will do a similar job to Sony in the sense of getting it pretty close to working beautifully. Twitch always has lower resolution and bit rates than we may very well like, and certainly than YouTube's live streams will provide, but it does a very good job at conveying the action and what's going on screen. So hopefully Microsoft will do a very good job there. Unfortunately, if it's anything like Upload Studio, I don't hold my hopes up too much. It really does feel to me like this was an add-on thought. When they heard what Sony was doing, they quickly put something together. Unfortunately, as I say, it's a great feature if it wasn't quite so limited. And as I say, it just feels like Microsoft could have done just a little bit more to make this a really standout killer feature. For starters, a buffer longer than 15 seconds would have been really nice. I can't quite see what the problem with holding more than 15 seconds would be. If you can do 5 minutes direct to the disk, then they could do 5 minutes of buffered recording as well. One thing to note about the way the we'll call it Xbox Record that feature works is, as it's actually doing its catch-up, as it were, from the buffer, when it finishes you will get a stutter on screen as it pops up a notification and presumably decides to save the content somewhere. So just keep that in mind, that it's not a perfectly fluid experience. If you're in a frantic multiplayer game at the time, that disruption of the sudden quick bit of lag as the notification pops up could be enough to get you killed, as has happened to me a few times. And we'll just end this little section with, well, quite honestly, a very cool set of kills from Battlefield 4. I parachuted into on top of the objective, took out 2 people, and set the bomb. This is the kind of cool thing that Upload Studio is really all about, capturing those moments and being able to share them with your friends. It's just a real shame that the sharing aspect of Upload Studio is boring and just tacked on, in my opinion. You can't share to Twitch, you can't share to YouTube, you can't share to Twitter, you can't share to Facebook, you can't share to Dailymotion, you can't share to Vimeo, but you can share it on SkyDrive. Brilliant! Oh, and by the way, the SkyDrive functionality doesn't work very well. In our experience, when we uploaded to SkyDrive as well as onto the Xbox Live system, as it were, for other Xbox Live users to view our video, we found that the video sent to SkyDrive was all well and good, but it took forever to download it from SkyDrive. A 70 meg file took over 5 minutes to download on 120 meg broadband from SkyDrive. And this is all down to Windows 8.1's atrocious integration with SkyDrive. It just seems that it's not able to pull the data down at full speed or anywhere close because it's utilising Microsoft's file transfer system, effectively built into the Windows 8.1 GUI. Is this a complaint for Windows 8.1? Is it a complaint for SkyDrive? Is it a complaint for Xbox Live? It's a bit of a complaint about all three. It just doesn't work very well. And ultimately, if Microsoft wants people to take advantage of cloud services, it's going to have to do just a little bit better than that. The other thing worth noting is that the upload speed that we found and the rendering speed for around a 2-minute clip was torturously slow on the Xbox. It took forever to render the clip, and it's not exactly having to work very hard in my opinion. Given the actual spec of the system, we would have expected the video rendering to be much, much quicker. Moving on to the achievement system, this is an area where a lot of people are very interested in achievements. Things have been kept very similar here to the Xbox 360. You can see a list of all of your games, you can jump in, you can have a look at your achievements. You also have time-limited achievements as well that seem to be based on completing a certain number of elements of a game within a 14-day time limit. So for instance, in the case of Battlefield, play 100 matches within 14 days. That's pretty cool, but if it's time limited to the first 14 days a game is released, kind of doing people a disservice that pick up the game on day 15. Moving actually into the achievements of individual games, you get reminded again of these very time-limited achievements, as well as all the achievements you've achieved so far, and the achievements that you can work towards, unless they're hidden ones from what I can tell. Some achievements don't give you, aren't listed up front, as it were, they're there for you to discover on your own. And we can move in and look at an individual achievement. So let's now do the really exciting stuff. Let's look at games on the Xbox One. So this is a title that everybody got with their Xbox One, whether they wanted it or not, and it's FIFA 14. Why did they give everyone a free copy of FIFA 14? Because it's not a very good game. That's pretty much the long and the short of it. I can't see any compelling reason anyone would go and buy the latest version of FIFA voluntarily. If you've played any of the FIFA games in the past, you have played this game. All it is, oh look, they've made the player models look a bit more realistic. And unfortunately, the gameplay is still dull as dishwater. If you're a football fan, you will probably like FIFA, or maybe you won't. That is a player base split very much down the middle. But for me, as somebody who doesn't particularly like football games, but has played every single FIFA because I have to, all I can say is it's more of the same, but with prettier looking graphics. There's nothing here to recommend it as the best football game ever made on the very best console or anything like that. It's really just a minor upgrade, prettier graphics and a higher frame rate, and that's your lot. The gameplay, everything here is exactly the same as on previous games in the FIFA series and on any of the other consoles you may have played it on. There's just not a lot here to kind of recommend or to kind of say, well, this is the killer title at launch. I can well understand why Microsoft threw that one in there. Next, we have a game which can be described as truly next-gen, and that is Dead Rising 3. It's very much an open-world zombie shooter. You're going to have to explore the world, doing missions for various people so you can complete the story, as well as lots of side missions as well. You can pick up weaponry absolutely everywhere, as well as things to heal yourself with, and there's quite a cool combo system as well, which is a hallmark of the Dead Rising trilogy, where effectively as you find objects around the world, for instance a buzzsaw and a sledgehammer, you can combine them together to make a sledge saw, or all sorts of other very crazy weaponry. And there's also cars you can modify as well to make souped up death machines. Well, death machines, zombie killing machines certainly. The gameplay is really good, and whilst for the first kind of hour of the game, I was really struggling with it. I was kind of like, well, this just feels like Grand Theft Auto with zombies. I wasn't really getting it as such. After a few more hours, and now about 10 hours in, I think, I'm really getting a feel for how awesome this game actually is. There's an awful lot to do, and it's almost at times overwhelming, and also the large number of objects you can pick up and having to search the environment quite carefully looking for various bits and pieces can feel quite overwhelming at times, almost to the point of, what else do we need to do? But Dead Rising, a really great game, it certainly shows off what the Xbox One is capable of. Then we can move on to a game like Battlefield 4. It's a cross-platform title, so we're able to compare it across all of the different consoles, PC and the next gens. And what we can really say about Battlefield is it looks great on pretty much every system that you put it onto. Certainly on next gen and PC, it's the way it's meant to be played. Sorry, video. But The only downside, I would say, on the Xbox One is that DICE, the game's developers, took the decision to lower the effective resolution and then upscale it on the Xbox One itself. Now, this doesn't actually cause a problem if you're sat in front of your television set, but as let's say 6 foot away from your television. But if you're the kind of person who sits right up close to your TV, or who is going to be using this on a monitor, then you might want to keep one eye on Battlefield 4, because up close it doesn't look quite as good as it does on the PlayStation 4, or as it definitely does on the PC. You can see a noticeable reduction in clarity. Now, like I say, it's only a problem if you're the kind of person who sits right up close to their games. If you're the kind of person sat on your sofa, not so much of a problem. Gameplay-wise, it's a fantastic game and well worth checking out. Now, on to another first-party title on Xbox One. This is an exclusive to the Xbox. You will not find this on any other system, and that is Killer Instinct. A game that really wants to claim it's free-to-play, but fails at the most basic element of being free-to-play. You get one character to begin with, and then you can pay $15.99 to unlock the rest of the characters, although your one character can fight against the entire roster. You've then got cosmetic upgrades as well for your character, new skins effectively and cool looking weapons, and that will cost you another $15.99. It's not really a free-to-play title, it's more demoware, but it's a pretty good demo and it kind of shows off what the Xbox is capable of. We would definitely have liked to see more characters, but as this is a remake of the original, maybe that was a bit too much to expect. But as I say, great combos, great graphics, great fast fluid gameplay at 60 frames a second. It's just a shame that while Sony were doing free-to-play titles properly, so everyone had loads of games they could play, regardless of if they only could afford one game when they actually bought their PS4, there was still plenty of stuff to do. Microsoft has taken the other approach and is really saying, look, if you want the Xbox One and you want plenty of games, you are going to be forking over for them. That is a bit of a shame in my opinion. Next we have possibly the epitome of racing games these days after Gran Turismo dropped the ball so badly over on Sony's PlayStations, but it's Forza 5. This game runs at 1080p and in many respects it kind of puts the naysayers in a corner, because people were saying the Xbox One, it's not capable of 1080p. Well, here it is, and if this is the future of Xbox One, then the future looks very bright. Forza 5 is phenomenal. The frame rate never dips, it's always a solid 60 frames a second, and it's running at 1080p beautifully. One thing just to note with gameplay footage on this channel, because of the way YouTube operates, the frame rate is dropped to 30 frames a second when you see it. We are playing it at 60 frames a second, and it does look incredibly fluid and very, very crisp. This is definitely the killer title at launch on the Xbox One, without a shadow of a doubt. If you buy your Xbox One for Christmas, make sure you get Forza 5. You are going to really, really enjoy it. Personally, I like racing games anyway, but I'm quite picky. I was not a big fan of what they did with Gran Turismo. I felt the whole game was a complete botch job over on PlayStation, and Forza really has nailed it for the last few years. Forza 5 continues that tradition with a new tyre physics model that really works in my opinion. The gameplay is challenging when you want it to be challenging. There's plenty of options there, lots of cars and a reasonable number of tracks, although I would have liked to have seen a few more than 14 plus their variations. Apparently there will be some download content coming with more tracks. Who could have guessed that one? The graphics though are probably the standout feature, especially running at 1080p, and there are moments in this game where photorealism just leaps out at you, especially with the lens flares and the HDR effects as you're coming through tunnels or suddenly turning around a corner and into a bright spot. You really can feel like you're right there in the race. I cannot stress enough how much I've enjoyed Forza 5 so far, and even the multiplayer feels so much better than in previous Forza games. There's still a bit of a time delay with getting into a game in multiplayer, but once you're in there, it's really good fun. As you can see, there's a quick clip being recorded. All I simply said was, Xbox record that, and the Xbox then recorded from its buffer for me. One of the things that we have with all of the Forza games are braking lines, braking assists, etc. But you can turn those off to increase the difficulty, and in doing so you get a larger payout at the end of each race. Obviously, to be able to afford those really big high-performance cars costing 1.2 to 1.75 million, then you are going to have to really push the difficulty setting if you want to get there quickly. Alternatively, there is a token system that they've included, which is effectively an in-game currency you can buy for real money, which allows you to unlock any car simply by paying credits, or tokens in their case. It was disappointing to see that kind of method provided. I really would not have liked to have seen Forza becoming like a mobile game in that respect. Luckily, it's not too in your face, as it were. It is there as an optional extra, and it can also be used to buy XP boosts as well, which allow you to upgrade and level your driver faster than you would do normally. However, I mean, the problem with having a full price premium title and in-app purchases, it's just a little bit cheeky in my opinion. Not the kind of thing we want to be encouraging on the next gen consoles, unless the game is free to play. If it's free to play, fine, in-app purchase all you like, but with a title that is effectively costing £55, I do not expect to see in-app purchases like that. A very, very odd and strange choice on the part of Microsoft's first-party studio, Turn 10. Definitely not something we need to be encouraging, and in my opinion should be removed in the next Forza. So, that is the Xbox One at launch. Obviously, consoles develop all of the time, and we will be checking back on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 over its life. We'll be bringing you the updates and the thoughts and opinions as the console starts to develop and they add new features. We came away quite impressed with the Xbox One, although its high price and quite large size. Everything is big with Xbox, including the price, is one way you could look at it. It's a good package, and it's a great home entertainment system. Do I think that Sony are going to win on this generation? I think they might, purely because Microsoft have got far too many rough edges here. On the hardware front, it's too big, it costs too much, and unfortunately they haven't released a large enough number of games, and the lack of free-to-play games at launch is a concern as well. But Microsoft have got time to pull things back, perhaps remove the Kinect from the box, make the thing slightly cheaper, and get those independent developers and free-to-play games on the system.